This marks the second part of this manhwa. If you haven't viewed the previous part, you can access it by clicking the I button located above, or the link is provided in description. Let's aim for 200 likes on today's video. To show your support, consider subscribing to the channel. As the insector introduces herself as Gammy Jin, the grandma is in shock, as she has never expected something like this in her entire life. Gashi notices the emotions in her eyes and says that if she wants more information, she will have to come to his lab. He will wait for her patiently there. Eventually, she mustered up enough curiosity to go to the lab. But when she arrived, she asked the assistant if this really is the place, as she was not that impressed with the dilapidated building standing in front of her. Sure enough, Gashi came out of it and invited her inside. As he said in their first meeting, he has been patiently waiting for her arrival. With that, they go inside, where the grandma notices the different array of bugs he has taxidermied on the wall, which reminds her of the research she has done about Gashi. He is an esteemed researcher in the entomology circle, globally recognized. In fact, among all, he is an expert in ants, as he apparently discovered dozens of species all on his own. As she walks, she remembers about Jin and asks where she is located, with Gashi explaining that she is in standby mode, preparing to show her combat skills. Soon enough, they arrive at a big smoke screen where the grandma sees Jin, who knows that they are there and gives Gashi a knowing look. With that, he pushes a big red button that opens up a cell from which comes a scrawny and manic man who says that he's in pain and that he will feast on their flesh once he gets out. Gashi tells them that now they will see for themselves, so they should get started already. With that, Jin begins transforming into her insector form, and the manic man starts doing the same, as he will not let himself be killed without a fight. Now the fight between the Ant Castle Project Specimen 0 Red and an upper beetle begins, as the grandma remains shocked. Gashi explains that what she sees now is the true form of the insector, truly vile creatures. But the grandma thinks that if they get involved with such monsters, their reputation will plummet to the ground. Jin and the beetle begin fighting, with their armor clashing and bashing against each other. But this is up until Jin jumps into the air and with a spin kicks the beetle to the ground. But it seems to cause her some pain too, as she asks for just a little bit of time. The insector starts to launch ranged attacks at her, which she manages to dodge with expert movement, and launches herself directly at the insector with a punch. But she doesn't stop there, as she continues to pummel him into the ground. The grandma is too shocked to make any other expression and asks if he really plans on creating the same type of monster again. Gashi explains that Jin is pretty different, as even though she is similar to the insector, she actually hunts them and eats them. She is like a host to these ants, a queen of sorts, only achieved with his creation, the anti-insector ant model Red, which was bred specifically with the strongest genes. Before the grandma can ask what he's talking about, an example appears in front of her, as Jin tells the ants to go eat, which they do. But as she walks away, her belly starts to convulse again, and she falls to the ground as a result. The grandma asks what's wrong with her, and with a grim expression, Gashi explains that she's not the only one who requires this insector feed. The grandma instantly realizes what he's talking about and grabs his sweater. Is he out of his mind? How can he use a woman as his guinea pig? And even if she wants her child to be avenged, how can he do this to someone else's daughter, and a pregnant woman too? Where are her parents? Can he even imagine what they would feel if they knew about this? Jin comes out of the fighting hall and says that her parents already know, and that she shouldn't scold her father so much. Her husband was killed by an insector, and so she decided to participate in this experiment. But she did not know she was pregnant. She didn't even think to check because of how revenge-fueled she was. However, she has no regrets about this, as the future is more important. Now she cannot show her child a world where the insector are roaming free. They need to keep this project going no matter what, so she begs her to support them. The grandma clenches her fist and says that she cannot just turn away from a parent who is willing to sacrifice anything for their child. But she has one condition: under no circumstances will the child be burdened with anything. He will live a normal life. Gashi agrees, and so the relationship was formed. Time seemed to pass by as the grandma taught Jin how to cook. The assistant was investigating something, and Gashi was in his usual place researching ants. Eventually, the pregnancy was almost over, with everyone eagerly waiting for the baby to come. When the pregnancy was finished, the grandma instantly went to meet the child, who she thought was the cutest thing ever, and also asked for his name. Jin said that his name is Gammy Song, which the grandma really liked. Jin also said that there's someone else, someone who Gashi is holding, Song's brother, Gammy-chan. They kept growing inside the facility, where they were usually outside playing. but one time they hit the grandma in the face with a ball, and she started running after them. After that, they went inside their home, where the grandma is tired as it's not easy to take care of 5-year-olds. It seems that her age is catching up to her. Chan asked her when their mother is coming back, and she told them that she will not be gone long. She will eventually get back, so they shouldn't be scared. Earlier than this, the grandma received the news that they found the culprit of her son's death, as they have been investigating it for years now. The investigator shows her 3 pictures and says that the wounds made by this insector bears striking characteristics with her son's wounds, and the DNA left behind also matches up, which basically confirms that this is the killer of her son. Jin came into the room and asked where that insector is, with the investigator saying that he should still be on Jeju Island. She then tells everyone to get ready for departure as they will go there now. But the grandma told her to relax, as that guy is not any ordinary insector, and she also has kids now. She can't hazard herself like this. Jin said that this was a long time coming. It's time they fulfill the promise they made to her. But she shouldn't worry, as because of her help, her skill has improved tenfold. She is in perfect condition. She will catch that bastard and come straight home. Additionally, she has something to tell her, so she asks her to come and talk somewhere more private. They go to a stairway, and the grandma asks if it's a taboo topic or something. What happened for her to want to speak like this? Jin begins explaining. Not that long ago, the kids were watching TV, where a cartoon about the Tiger Man was being televised. Chan was very hyped about this, and so he started begging her for a tiger blade. But she told him that they will go shopping this weekend. Right now, they just can't. This prompted Chan to say that she hated him. Hearing this, Song said that they don't need to go to the shop as he can make him a blade with ease, so their mother doesn't need to be sad. As Chan started playing with the toy blade, she crouched down to Mi Song and apologized while crying her eyes out. She apologized for everything, for inheriting her curse. That is the day when they found out Mi Song was an insector too. But the grandma is curious about Chan. Is he also one? Jin said that they investigated him thoroughly, but nothing was found. Additionally, only her dad and stepmom know about this, with her father immediately hugging Mi Song when he found out, perhaps because he felt guilty for what he incurred on a child. The grandma understood their pain, and Jin said that if this scares her, she will not blame her for not taking care of the kids anymore. But the grandma said that this doesn't change the fact that those 2 are still her grandchildren. They are both adorable no matter what. All she needs to focus on is to come back safe and sound, as she doesn't want to see someone who is like a daughter to her pass away. Jin was surprised that she thought of her that way, so she thanked her from the bottom of her heart. Eventually, the grandma passes out while taking care of the kids, so in their boredom, they decide to go and see what their grandfather is doing. They went to see how the project is doing, and they came right in time as the trial transformation for another ant castle candidate was just starting. The candidate was engulfed in the ants, with their integrity falling constantly because they weren't harmonizing enough. Mi Song wondered if he was also going to end up in the same way, but after seeing more, they both thought that it's not possible. As the test continued, the ant integrity kept falling and falling, with one of the researchers urging the candidate to visualize his transformation. He needs to use his brain in order to succeed. As the integrity fell to 30%, Gashi told the researcher to revert him back to normal, which they did. The candidate fell to the ground but lamented not being able to visualize the transformation, as that is the only thing keeping him back. The researcher, Yui, said that his ability to command the ants is still in its immature stages, so he needs to develop but that will only come with time. The candidate, at the time UFT champion Choi Sun-woon, said that he gave up his successful fighting career to become a hero, but all they do is blame him for everything. It has been a year with no real changes. Yui told him not to be impatient. The fact that he managed to keep the ants inside of him in the first place is already a huge accomplishment. But now, with this final stage, everything is his responsibility. They cannot do anything more to help him. As Woon gets out of the testing area, Mi Song and Chan were waiting for him as they wanted to play with him. Naturally, he wasn't in the mood to play with some kids, but that's when Chan revealed that Mi Song can also control ants, something which their mother told them to keep secret. But Chan insisted and said that they should go and see. They went to a dark alley where Mi Song effortlessly created a tiger blade again. Woon was shocked by this, as the kid did something he can only wish to do, so he got mad and suddenly grabbed Mi Song, demanding to know what he did to gain this type of power. Genetics. Did he inherit it effortlessly through his mother? He should spit it out while he is still being nice. What the heck did he do? Chan tried to rescue his brother by hitting Woon in the knees, but that did nothing. Suddenly, tons of field medics appeared behind them, as there has been a serious injury that they need to take care of. The kids feared the worst, so they went to see what's going on. But when they arrived, they saw the grandma crying as she felt that she was the reason that all of this happened. Jin came back, but she was on her last legs as her bleeding was profound and her injuries were severe. Due to her injuries, Jin couldn't keep herself on her legs and fell down. But she started getting up on her own and said that she got the bastard, she got her son's killer. The researchers immediately put him in chains, and Yui was amazed to see him, the insector who gave the start to all of this, the one who killed their loved ones. Inside of the medical bay, Jin was standing in a healing pod, while the grandma and her children stood above her. The doctor there explained that her life is not in any danger currently, but unfortunately it will be difficult for her to continue her activities moving forward. She will probably not be able to fight ever again. The grandma kept apologizing while the children cried for their mother and begged her to live. The grandma was heartbroken, as her constant want of revenge has inflicted pain on these innocent souls, something which she promises herself to never do again. Eventually, Gashi arrived at the medbed and told the doctor to step out for a moment, as there's some personal matter to discuss here. He looked at his daughter and touched the glass of the healing pod. The grandma instantly apologized to him as she let her revenge almost ruin his daughter. She doesn't want to see him lose a family member. Instead of reprimanding or accepting her apology, Gashi actually thanked her, as she is now looking at an unbeatable force, something that the insector world has never seen before, the apex insector. And it's all thanks to her and her support. The grandma couldn't believe that he just smiled. How can he do that when his daughter is in such a state? Is he just not worried about her? Gashi said that he has done enough worrying for her, so he will now move on to his next magnum opus, one that has much more potential than his daughter ever could, Gami Song. The grandma grabbed him away and told him that this kid has no consequence in this. He promised to not involve the kids, but Gashi kept insisting Mi Song will become the hero of humanity who saves everyone from the insector. Since he is also his precious grandchild, he has priority on what's best for him. She has another child anyway, the one who can just remain with his mother if she lives, that is. The grandma fell to her knees and said that she cannot believe that things turned out this way. She doesn't even care about her son's killer anymore. She just wants everything to be peaceful. Chan suddenly spoke and explained that once he heard Grandpa tell Mi Song something while giving him a hug, that he is the number one. He also had a smug grin on his face, but he also wants to be number one. Why can't he? The grandma got up and told him to not covet something so hurtful. It's agonizing to live with. Chan said that he doesn't care, as when he will become first, he will also be embraced and protected by her. Everyone will smile at him. Ever crying will do just fine, as now he feels like he's nobody around here. With that, he runs away. But before the grandma can follow him, she notices that Jin's ants have become agitated and redder than ever. Chan went to Woon, who asked if he's just abandoning his family, which he agreed with. But Chan also asked him what he wants by becoming number one. Does he want hugs too? Woon said that he got plenty of those in his days. What he wants is honor or just to become a hero and be popular. But with the researchers that keep blaming him for not succeeding, it has become increasingly infuriating. He tries to form something from the ants once again, but he fails once again, which makes him scream out and punch the tree right behind them as he cannot believe that a mere 5-year-old has beaten him to this race. Why can't he do it? As he lamented, Chan told him to look behind as there were wasps coming in their direction. Woon pushed Chan out of the way and said that he can at least take care of a few wasps. Sure enough, the wasps were engulfed by the ants, but some managed to get away from his weak control and aimed directly for Chan. However, as the wasps went to sting him, they mysteriously went through him, with Woon wondering if he was just seeing things. But that's when they come out of him with a golden hue to them, and just fly away. But Chan slowly got up and said that something as strange as his heart started to glow from his chest and his eyes glistened with the same golden hue. Woon asks if he wants a piggyback ride to the infirmary, but Chan refuses as he had plans to go and brag to his grandma about this. Perhaps with this, he can become number one in the research center. Gashi and Yui are testing out Mi Song's integrity with it jumping to a whopping 98.9%, something that not even Jin was able to surpass. What an amazing gift! Gashi congratulates him for doing what he just did, and as a little gift, he has prepared something for him. An insector arm starts to come out of the floor, and Mi Song felt the urge to let the ants eat it, so he did just that, with the ants getting to work on the hand. While that happens, Gashi thinks that Song is producing his own ants through his body, previously red and blue ants in a forest, but these black ants seem to be better. in every aspect but also more ferocious, as it seems that their hunger won't be so easily satiated. Now, they will not cause any damage because there are so few, but once the number of ants increases to the point where some can create a suit, the ants will start to eat him if they don't have enough sustenance. He cannot let something like that happen. He will not let this opportunity wither away. With excitement in his eyes, Chan began running towards the testing room, as now he will also be a hero, since their mother is number 0, the true hero, and Song is number 1, the ultimate champion. He will be number 2. Together they form a family of heroes. He opens the door to the research room and starts speaking to his grandma, but there's nobody here, which is strange as previously they were all here. That's when he hears the loud thud of heavy chains, and when he looks behind, he spots the insector who is looking at him with great hunger behind the glass. The emergency alarm starts to blare out as everyone gets the news that one of the insector is loose, something which shakes Gashi to his core. Chan can't believe that his mother fought something like this, but he doesn't notice that the glass starts to break, and soon enough, the large insector is free and instantly goes to feast on the morsel in front of him. But that's when a barely transformed Woon comes to the rescue with a punch that pushes the insector back. He tells Chan to run for his life as he cannot hold back this bastard for much longer. With that, he charges in again and begins trading blows with the insector, but in his imperfect form, he takes more damage than the insector who is protected by his armor. The insector tries to use his head pincers to split Woon in two, but he manages to dodge this attack, not so much the next one as he is pummeled to the ground, and the insector keeps punching him over and over, something which Chan experiences with his very eyes. His emotions start to run wide, and he screams out as a strange power emanates from him, something which the insector is very attracted to, so he immediately turns his focus onto him and prepares to appease his hunger. But that's when Woon tells him that this is not over yet, as round 2 has just started. Using his newly found wasp abilities, Woon strikes the insector countless times and returns to Chan's side, telling him to stay put while he takes care of this. He charges in once again and manages to throw the insector into the wall with a powerful attack, but Chan notices that he's not dead yet, so he stands in front of him, and using his emotionally driven power, he starts taking all of the insector abilities from him. Gashi and Yui eventually arrive at the scene where they see Chan and Woon shake hands, with Woon smiling with an evil grin. Somewhere in Brooklyn, the insector go on a rampage, as there is nobody there that can challenge them. A black van arrives, however, and the driver asks the passenger if he's ready for combat as one of the insector prepares to smash a few innocents into pulp. Woon swoops forwards with his new transformation and kills the insector in one blow. That's when he hears someone else ask for help from above, as a woman has been kidnapped by a flying insector, so he unleashes a mighty ranged attack that does indeed kill the insector but hits the building behind it, causing more casualties. Woon rescues the woman. Yet he does not move. At the new Bug Reaper facility, Gashi and Yui start interrogating Woon, as 36 people who had no part of the incident died because of his foolishness. The media thinks that this was the work of aliens, and the ones who saw what truly happened did not say a word. Yet Gashi says that he sent him there to eradicate the insector infestation, yet he dares to cause this much damage. How can he call himself a hero? Woon says that with great power comes great responsibility, so he chose to sacrifice little to save many. 2 months ago, after that escape incident, he felt reborn as his power was overflowing, better than ever, and he ended up in this way because of the grandson he always ignored. Gashi says that they do not need unruly vigilantes, but Woon says that they can't do anything without him anyway, as the world needs him more than ever, and with his daughter out of the picture, they cannot abandon him. He also shouldn't act so high and mighty, as his 5-year-old grandchild is doing everything for him at this point. Back at the now furnished house, Jin invites her kids to dinner, with Mi-sung instantly getting there, as he has been craving the short ribs that their grandma used to make. But he also asks his mother where she is, as she hasn't visited lately. Jin can't tell him that the grandma just said that she will continue to support them like before, but she should at least take care of Chan better, as he is far more lonely than she can imagine. Take care of both of the kids well, so that they can become responsible grown-ups. She tells Song that she's just busy, so they should go and visit her next time. She also tells him to go grab his brother so that they can eat. Song does just that and calls him out, but that's when he notices their grandpa standing next to Chan, who is showing off his new insector powers, and asks if he can become a hero too. With this, Gashi did not see a hero in him, as his grandson is like a net. He always collects the insector abilities of any insect he touches, and he can also bestow these powers upon other humans. Even if he is his grandson, he is a variable he did not expect to see, and a variable that needs to be dealt with. He suddenly hugs him tightly and starts crying, as he is the opposite of what he wanted to do. He is his biggest failure. These words etched themselves deep in Chan's heart, and Song saw everything. They go back into the house, but Chan doesn't come for dinner, something which makes Jin worry. Still, the day turns into night, and both of the kids are tucked in and asleep. But that's when Chan slowly rises out of his bed and looms over Song. Suddenly, Jin, who is fast asleep, is swung wide awake by Song's screams, and when she goes inside of their room, she is shocked by what she is seeing, as Chan is trying to take every single ant of Song out of his body, as he also wants them so that he can be special. Jin slaps him away to the ground and asks what he's doing. How dare he harm his brother? Why is he envious of such a thing? He does not know how awful it is to have ants inside of his body that are crawling constantly. At first, she was happy that he was ordinary so that he can live a normal life without issues, but Chan says that he doesn't want that. He's already special, yet nobody seems to appreciate his strength or powers. He's a total failure. He tries to leave the house, but before he can, Gashi stops him along with a few guards and says that he will take him. He saw everything through the cameras, but Jin says that it was just a little fight between kids. However, Gashi doesn't let up, as this thing needs to be locked up so that it can't harm his treasure anymore. With that, they put handcuffs on him and they drag him away from his mother, as Gashi puts him in confinement, and tells Chan something he can't hear. The words his grandpa said to him keep replaying that he's a total failure. But that's not true. He isn't the failure, he is the success. He cannot see that. That's when a large insector appears out of the ground behind him, ready to unleash havoc. After 2 weeks of confinement, Jin goes to Gashi and tells him to think about things once more, as he can't just leave a child alone like that. But Gashi refuses, as they are still investigating. She asks what is there to investigate, as that is just a child. He can't harm anybody. Gashi says that since they put him in confinement, he has not slept to calculate all of the variables, but everything comes back to one future, that Chan will someday bring down true chaos on humanity. She must believe him. If he could take away this gift and let him be a normal child again, he would. She asks what will happen if he can't, but he does not answer, with Jin's screams being heard even outside, where Woon notes that the old man is more wicked than he expected. But he has more important things to take care of, as the ants inside of him have grown bigger and are now feasting on his flesh since they have nothing else to feed on. But that's when a large crack can be heard throughout the facility, and then an alarm shortly follows, with both Jin and Woon feeling an insector near them. That insector was summoned by none other than Chan. Jin tells Gashi to sit down, as she will take care of this. But Woon is also swift on the chase, as he has to see what's going on. But that's when he notices Jin in front of him running like her life depends on it. The researchers are pushed back by Chan's protector, and it also shields him from the bullets of the guards, who did not see that they were shooting at Gashi's grandchild. Seeing that they will not let him go, he unleashes his powers on them, and Song, who is inside of their home, also feels something strange, his mother's ant powers. Jin eventually arrives at the scene, but it's too late, as Chan has already transformed 2 people into insector. She doesn't believe that he made them, so she tries to transform, but because of her injury, the ants aren't listening to her. Chan confirms that he was the one who made them, or is she going to take this away from him too? Where is her approval? The 2 insector charge and pin her to the ground, but she manages to transform somewhat and tells Chan that she naturally believes it, as he is her amazing son. Of course, he is special. She charges through the insector and hugs him tightly, apologizing for ignoring his worries and being a bad mother, so he should stop already. But that's when the insector who protected him impaled her in the chest, something which he did not order it to do. He tries to punch it away and succeeds only because Woon has come to the rescue and punches it instead. The insector doesn't give up and unleashes a bunch of ranged attacks, which Woon deflects with his ranged ability, which also kills the insector. Chan goes back to his mother and starts crying, while wondering what to do. But that's when Gashi comes around and sees what has happened. As Chan tries to explain what happened, a bullet grazes his cheek as Gashi tells him to back away from his daughter. Chan is now in a complete state of shock, with Gashi noting that he cannot believe that he ever considered him anything other than a monster. He is a failure. he will not live down his entire life. As he tries to end him, Woon jumps in front of him and protects Chan, asking what he's doing to a damn child. Gashi tells him to stay back as that thing is a monster that will cause only disasters. That's a fucking order. Woon doesn't move, which makes Gashi threaten that he will dispose of him too, but Woon would like to see him try. Gashi asks if he has given up on being a hero, but Woon notes that he would rather protect a shocked child than listen to his orders. Gashi understands and pulls out a detonator, wondering how to take care of him. Before he can press anything, Woon swoops in and asks when he planted this into him. Gashi says that it was after that incident, since he proved himself to be a degenerate bastard who doesn't care for humanity. Woon says that the bomb inside of him won't do anything, but as Gashi smashes the red button, he says that he planted more than that into him. Chan remembers the time he went to apologize to Woon, as because of him, he became an insector. But Woon said that thanks to him, he was basically awakened as a true hero, so he shouldn't feel bad, as in his eyes, he is his hero now. Chan feels a certain responsibility for him. As the button is pressed, the ants inside of Woon start to go haywire because Gashi has implanted a few queen ants into him, and they are made specifically to attack his entire system so he will die being eaten like the half-baked insector he is. If he lost his will to save humanity, he should at least face his death with pride and die like a human. As the ants rip into him, Chan starts to dump all of the insector DNA into him, as he will not let the man he rescued die. This causes a strange transformation, but this also changes Chan. Gashi asks what he did, and Chan explains that this is just a true awakening, something that all insectors aspire to be, their apex forms. As the transformed Woon charges in, Gashi thinks that he needs to blow the bomb inside of him, but he will be too late to press the button. That's when the injured Jin appears and blocks his attack while telling him to snap out of it, but none of them listen. Somewhere in the facility, Song searches for his mother, as he knows that he felt her power. Eventually, she is defeated by Woon, who stands almighty above them both. Gashi tells her to just get Song and run away, but she wants Chan too. Gashi says that he is a lost cause. He has become what he feared him to be, humanity's worst enemy. That's when Mi-song appears from behind and stares shocked at what his brother has become, asking him what's wrong. Chan says that because of his body, he is favored, but that will no longer be the case. Jin tells him to run away as Chan orders Woon to pulverize Song. But that's when Gashi shoots him to distract him, as they cannot lose humanity's last hope from this. Chan gets that he's the opposite. He is a humanity's destroyer. Woon cuts Gashi straight in half, something which shocks everyone, but in his last moments with the last of his will, Gashi blows up the bomb that was inside of him. A bomb that encapsulates the entire room with no means to escape. In her last moments, Jin tells something to Song. The gigantic explosion occurs, and afterwards, Mi-song seems to be the only one left alive, as Jin has given up her life and ants to protect her son. This marks the conclusion of the second part of this manhwa. The third part will be uploaded soon. To show your support for the channel and help speed up the release of recaps for your favorite manhwa, please consider giving a super thanks. Looking forward to seeing you in the next video.